The FDA has not done its job to protect the American people, but we can see that it's incapable of doing so because of Monsanto's deep ties to the administration.
What's remarkable about this is that these are the scientists working inside FDA, and when the political appointees at the top of the agency said no testing, no labeling, they say in these documents, where is your science? Why didn't you listen to our science? So now that means that these foods have gone out without the testing, without saying, hey, listen, are these foods toxic? Are these foods causing new allergens? They're out there, they're in the fields, they're in our supermarkets, they're now going around the world without this testing being done, even though FDA's own scientists said these tests should have been done. They had to have been done if these foods were to be proved safe. Section of the FDA. This is really amazing. Here they say genetically modified plants can contain unexpected high concentrations of plant toxicants. In other words, the genetic engineering of these plants can take a safe food and make it toxic. Not only that, but on food allergens, they say that there can be novel allergens, that this genetic engineering of plants can create new allergens never seen before in our food. And that's, again, from the toxicology section of the FDA, their own scientists. This food is not safe. It needs to be looked at. But Monsanto didn't want that examination to happen. So it used its political influence to make sure that the FDA could not do its job. And so to this day, both the United States and people of the world do not know if these foods are safe because Monsanto was able to convince these political appointees not to do their job.
This is another issue we would have liked to confront Monsanto about, but they're standing by their decision. No interview. And what about the FDA? A court ruled that the authorities' work was clean and independent. But for Andrew Kimbrell, there is a small clique of politicians, agency managers and Monsanto. To prove it, he shows us this diagram.
Look at this. Look at all these former Monsanto employees. Look at all the various government agencies that they have invaded. This is nothing less than a corporate coup d'etat. This is a corporate takeover of our government agencies by Monsanto. Look at this. This is John Ashcroft, formerly Attorney General and the current president. He had got more money from Monsanto, 5 times more money than any of the other hundreds of members of Congress that they found. He then got this man appointed to the Supreme Court. This is Clarence Thomas, a former lawyer from Monsanto, who recently authored, he was the author of an opinion that said, yes, Monsanto and DuPont, you can patent plants.
The next morning we meet a farmer who cultivates GM crops. He only wants to be filmed from behind. He doesn't want to be the black sheep of the community, only because he was willing to speak to us about the negative aspects of cultivating GM soy. But there are plenty of negative aspects to talk about. He shows us what the soil looks like where GM soy is cultivated. Grey and dead from the use of the special herbicides. They kill every plant except the soy. But now some weeds are becoming resistant.
What are the future consequences for our present actions? For years, the agriculture giant Monsanto has been genetically modifying corn and soybeans to withstand and even produce herbicides and pesticides. But as with what happened with drug-resistant bugs in modern medicine, and as Einstein so eloquently put it, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. This time it's in the form of superweeds and even more dauntingly, superworms. The Environmental Protection Agency has launched an investigation to inspect the resistance that is developing in parts of the Corn Belt and the unexpected colony of superworms that are bound to spread throughout the entire Midwest.
They just approved Roundup Ready alfalfa, genetically engineered alfalfa, engineered not to die when sprayed with Roundup. This is a catastrophe. Roundup Ready crops are already the most popular crops, the biggest acreage of crops that are genetically engineered. So millions and millions of pounds of Roundup is sprayed now, which is causing a catastrophe because it pulls nutrients out of the food supply. It promotes diseases in the soil. It's linked to endocrine disruption, to birth defects, to possible cancer. So the use of Roundup is now going to skyrocket because of the approval of Roundup Ready alfalfa. We didn't need it. Alfalfa is not generally sprayed with weed killer anyway. In fact, 93% of all the acreage of alfalfa is not sprayed with weed killer. So why did the USDA approve Roundup Ready alfalfa? Because of influence by Monsanto, not because of science, not because of what we want. So we need to ask our food companies, don't use any products from animals that have been fed GM alfalfa. Let's kick it out of the market.